It has been said that there is nothing like a dream to create the future. And sometimes a dream can begin with a single light. In this story, that light is born in the eyes of Nicholas Papani. Nicholas V. Papani was born in 1896 in Italy on the spur of the boot in a small town named Vieste on the shores of the Adriatic Sea. His life in the Puglia region was not easy. His family was poor, and when he was very young, his mother died. And so in the second grade, Nick was forced to drop out of school to help support the family and shoulder the added responsibilities. By his early teens, Nick realized that his homeland held little promise for him. And so with his father's blessing, he set his sights across the ocean. He set his sights on America. In 1911, at the age of 16, alone and penniless, Nick boarded a ship bound for Ellis Island. One young man in the great wave of immigrants to come to America in the early 20th century. One young man in search of a better life.
He always said, I came not because I thought the streets were paved with gold. I came because I thought there would be enough to eat, and because this was a land of opportunity.
And Nick was determined to make the most of this opportunity, working hard in a variety of jobs while he learned the language and the landscape of his new country. Back in Europe, the rumblings of World War I were beginning, and the Italian government was asking its citizens to return to fight. Nick had a decision to make, and he decided not to return to Italy, but to stay in America and join the United States Army. A self-taught musician, Nick tried out for the Army Band.
So he spent World War I playing music, which was much more his personality than fighting. When he got out of the Army, he got two gifts. One was a small stipend of money, and the other was the greatest gift he ever received, he said. He got his United States citizenship. He was always so proud to be an American by choice, and he wondered about his future here in this great country. He said, I don't think I'm a good enough musician to make music my future, but I think that the future of this country is in electricity.
So with this vision of the future in mind, Nick took the small amount of money the government had given him and began building his American dream. His first investment was in his own potential. He enrolled in the Franklin Union in Boston. There he aimed to learn everything he could about electricity. At this time, Nick lived in Quincy, and when not in classes or studying, he still played music and even earned money playing in the orchestra at Nantasket Beach. It was here that he is said to have spotted a pretty girl in the audience, Rose Popola. The two were introduced, and she later became his bride. After he received his journeyman and master's electrician's license, Nick began wiring houses on Boston's South Shore. As he worked, it didn't take long for this enterprising young man to recognize an open door to another, even bigger opportunity.
When my father had to buy supplies to do his electrical work, he would go to Boston. And some of his other electrician friends would say, Nick, if you're going into Boston, will you pick something up for me, and so forth. So he started to think in the back of his mind, I think that there is an opportunity for a supply house on the South Shore of Boston, and I'm going to save my money, and I'm going to do that. And he did.
Nick saved his money, and in 1923, he rented a small space on 27 School Street in Quincy. The storefront cost him $15 a month. At the time, Quincy was known throughout the world for the beautiful granite it produced, which gave it the nickname Granite City. Grounded in this solid history, Nicholas Papani flipped the switch, and Granite City Electric Supply Company came alive.
So my father was so proud to name his new company after his adopted city, Granite City Electric Supply Company.
Slowly and steadily, Nick's family business started to grow, and so did his own family. He and Rose had 3 daughters, Phyllis, Dorothy, and Virginia. By the 1930s, Granite City Electric had established a solid customer base, and was able to push through the challenges of the Great Depression with a simple but significant business philosophy. Always quality in merchandise and in service, a promise that Nick and each employee worked to fulfill. Nick knew his customers. He listened to them. He understood that at the end of the day, his customers wanted the same thing that he did, success, and he made it his business to help them achieve it.
The electricians would come in and they would say, if it were not for your father, I would not still be in business. He helped me through my bad times and he always trusted me. And he did.
Nick did whatever it took, and that included delivering the orders himself. His character and his principles guided him and his company, and by 1940, Granite City Electric had experienced enough success that it outgrew its original School Street location and moved around the corner to a larger location on 1615 Hancock Street.
There was a little lighting showroom in the front and a counter in the back and a warehouse. I remember it.
By World War II, the electric supply company was bustling. Granite City Electric helped the war effort by providing supplies to the Army and to munitions manufacturers of the area. It also began providing 24-hour service to the Four River Shipyard. Again, Nick saw a need and filled it. A commitment to surpassing expectations and providing superior service was becoming a tradition at Granite City Electric. By the end of the war, and by the late 1940s, Granite City Electric's trading area had spread south to Plymouth, Cape Cod, and the islands. The company had 12 full-time employees, celebrated its 25th anniversary, and moved to a newly constructed facility on 19 Quincy Ave, which is still its headquarters today. The business, this humble family business started by one hard-working, optimistic Italian immigrant, was thriving. Thriving in part because of the team that Nick was building. In 1950, Nick hired a young man out of the Navy named Bud Johnson. Nick thought Bud showed great potential, and soon Bud was selling in the showroom, quickly moved to outside sales, and worked his way up, eventually becoming one of the company's presidents. Bud Johnson's individual leadership added to the company's success, but individual leadership was only part of it, according to Nick.
Individual leadership has worked steadily towards success, but what pleases me even more is the fine spirit of cooperation and team play of our Granite City family. I am confident that a spirit like this leaves a lasting impression upon all who trade with us.
Granite City Electric was making an impression that it not only delivered quality, but that it cared about its customers, suppliers, and its employees. Nick was ahead of the curve in providing exceptional employee benefits like profit sharing. This compassion for others also spread to the wider community, as Nick was actively involved with organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, the YMCA, and Rotary Club. Nick Papani was a man of respect, integrity, and accountability. His personal qualities, his values, his high principles were the very things that powered Granite City Electric for the first 50 years. "50 years, an occasion worthy of celebration." In 1973, Nick's daughters threw a party to recognize the milestone. Nick's growing family and the growing Granite City Electric family were all there. And that year, Granite City Electric also opened its first branch. Just as Nick had envisioned that his first store in Quincy would make it easier for his South Shore customers to get what they needed, the new South Yarmouth location made it easier for his Cape and Island customers to get what they needed. Once again, Granite City Electric was anticipating its customers' needs. And in the same way that a family remains a family even when spread out geographically, the core of Granite City Electric, the values, stayed the same with the new expansion to South Yarmouth. At this point, Nick was getting older, and with 50 years of success behind him, he started looking toward the next 50 years, to the future. So he turned to his oldest daughter, Phyllis Papani Godwin, and presented her with 3 life-changing choices.
You can sell this company, You can leave it to other people to run, or you can run it yourself. Well, the thought of selling the company was just a very, very alien concept. It's like selling a sibling. It's part of your family. So I said, no, I don't think we can sell this company. And I could sort of tell my father was hoping I would pick up this opportunity and think seriously about running it myself. I had worked there a little bit when I was in high school and college and never thought of it as a career opportunity for me. I mean, this was no woman's land. The customers were men and the employees were men and the vendors were men. And I thought, oh no, no. And so here I was. By that time I was 40-ish and I was married with kids, about to be a single mom. And I thought, well, I'll try it.
So Phyllis took her first steps into the family business, and that included learning more about business. Phyllis went back to school. She enrolled in the weekend program at Suffolk University and in 2 years graduated with an MBA. This experience gave her the courage and confidence she needed to take on this new challenge. But it still wasn't easy.
I went in and thought, how am I going to run this company? First of all, I thought, well, maybe I could be like my father. Well, that doesn't work. I couldn't be like my father at all. First of all, we were different generations, different gender, different people, and I couldn't be like my father. This was one of the first important lessons I learned. I have to be myself.
And it turned out that Phyllis's self was just what Granite City Electric needed. In the early 1970s, when Phyllis came aboard, there were no women in the industry, and Phyllis had no mentors beyond her father. But she had intelligence and instinct, and they were on her side. And Nick recognized this too.
He said to me once, Phyllis, if I knew that you were going to love it so much and do it so well, we should have started together a long time ago. And it's true, we should have. I'm very lucky.
But of course, luck was only part of it. The country was experiencing a recession, and during these difficult times, Phyllis recognized how the two locations experienced economic cycles differently and how one could support another through tough times. This gave Phyllis the notion that if she added more branches, it would be better for customers and business alike, keeping the company strong through economic change and challenge. In 1983, Granite City Electric opened up its Martha's Vineyard store. 5 years later, Plymouth.
We were running out of space in Quincy and the Cape, and I looked all around for what I thought would be the perfect location, and I found the perfect location, which was midway between our Quincy store and our Cape store. And it just thrived for the first year. But of course, 1990 and 91 were two of the worst years we've had. And 16 electrical distributors in New England closed their doors in that really, really bad recession. But we managed to get through the recession. And in the 1990s, we began opening new locations in Boston, our first big city location, New Bedford. We built a new building in Nantucket, and we just started to thrive and grow.
And thrive and grow they did. When Phyllis started running the company, it was a $2 million company with 2 locations. Today, a few decades later, Granite City Electric is the largest family-owned, independent electrical supply company in New England, with more than 20 locations and generating more than $100 million a year in sales. It's hard to believe Phyllis ever had any doubts.
I remember saying to my father, Daddy, maybe instead of getting an MBA, I should be going to school to learn to get an electrician's license, because I'm not sure what anybody does with all these products. And he said, you don't have to know. He gave me such good advice, and I think so often of the advice he gave me. He said, my dear, you do not have to know what we do with those products. That's not your job. You can hire people that know that. Remember what your job is. Your job is to protect the assets of this company. You remember your assets are your people, your inventory, and your accounts receivable. And I still remember that that's my job, to protect the assets of the company.
Though Nick had passed on, his legacy was secure. Phyllis and her father had shared common values. They were honest and fair, understood the importance of listening to their customers, and both believed in the Rotarian motto, service above self. Yes, they were the same in many ways, but it was their differences, their unique characteristics, their individual talents that in combination made Granite City Electric a success. By 1998, Granite City Electric had a lot to be proud of. And yet again, the Granite City Electric family celebrated its accomplishments, this time with the 75th Anniversary Gala. With her foresight, marketing savvy, and authentically familial approach, Phyllis had taken the humble yet proven family business to a whole new level. And like her father so many years before, there came a time to think about the next stage, about the future.
I gathered my daughters together and we had a family meeting, and I gave them the same choices my father gave me.
Do you want to sell the company? Do you want to run the company? Or do you want to keep the company and hire somebody to run it for you?
This was Grandpa's vision. This was your hard work, Mom. Between the two of us, we have 5 children. Why not try to get this company to the 4th generation and give our children an opportunity?
So it was decided that the legacy was too important to let go, and so the quest was on to find the right person to help lead the company into the future. Enter Steve Helly, someone who not only had the talent, but had the heart and understanding.
So you want me to perpetuate your legacy to the next generation. Then the next questions were, okay, here's the kind of things that are core to me. Do they match with you? I love this business. So do I, Phyllis says. I love New England. We've both lived in New England our entire lives. Then, well, what kind of roadblocks would there be? There were none. And then she started talking about her family and that emotion and that feeling. How can you not want to be part of that?
But it wasn't just about emotion. Steve signed on because it was a good business decision. He knew Granite City Electric was a winner, and he wanted to be part of the team.
I knew she had built a solid company. That was the first thing. She had a reputation that they had the material, they had everything all the time. She had a reputation they didn't give it away. She had a reputation that her inventory was deep and wide. So people, you know, the hard-to-get items, they went to her because she did have it. And then there was a level of trust. You know, you don't just sit with her. There's a level of trust with this woman when you talk to her.
I think there's something so important about being authentic and real and knowing your own strengths and your own weaknesses. And that has helped me a lot in learning to run this company.
I think Mom brought all the elements that Grandpa had of the solid foundation and the trust and the ethics and the family business, but she also had an aggressiveness. She knew how to grow the business. She got the whole thing on really ratcheting it up and making the company grow, which is not an easy thing to do and remain very customer intimate. But somehow she found that balance.
And being customer intimate is and has always been the cornerstone of Granite City Electric.
Hexagonal boxes.
Just the metal ones?
Yeah, the metal ones.
The transaction doesn't end when you sell something to them. In customer intimacy, you have to become a partner. You have to become hooked at the hip. Figure out what it is that makes them money.
They didn't know, for instance, that they needed to have their merchandise delivered in the night until we started doing it. We can find what they need before they need it. And I think that's part of the caring.
From the very beginning, Granite City Electric has had a culture of caring, not just about the customers, but about each other. Granite City Electric cares about its employees and their personal and professional development. Working for Granite City Electric can be more than a job. It can be a career path. The company promotes from within and encourages employees to try new avenues and opportunities. It knows that each person makes a difference. Each matters. Employees get 50 hours of career training, and they're encouraged to move within the company to find their best fit, where they will grow and find success.
We care for our employees. Our employees are not just numbers. Our employees are people that we know that become really part of the family. That's what family businesses are, family.
And as with every family, there are prideful moments.
This was July 4th weekend. It would happen to be at our Hartford branch. And one of the electricians, a customer, called and said, I need my order because I'm going to start working on it on the 4th of July. And the employee said, gee, I'm sorry, we're not going to be delivering on the holiday eve. Our trucks are not out there. He said, oh, what am I going to do? Well, this employee on his own, I just found out about it because the customer wrote us an email and said, I want to commend this employee. He said, look, I'll get the order together. I'll deliver it to you myself in person on my way home tonight, Friday night, so that you'll have it all for Monday morning. And he did.
That employee, like all Granite City Electric employees, did what it took in the spirit of Nick Papani, in the spirit of a successful family business. Since Steve joined the Granite City Electric family in 1999, the business has grown even more. In 2002, it made its first acquisition, buying a company that shared its values, J.G. Temple, with locations in Vermont and New Hampshire. This acquisition expanded the Granite City Electric footprint into northern New England without compromising the long tradition Granite City Electric had established.
They certainly did care very, very much for their customers. Their customers were their friends, just like our customers are our friends. Family businesses are different, and their culture was so much like ours that it melded perfectly.
The combination of acquisitions, multiple expansions, and a good economy helped Granite City Electric reach its $100 million a year sales goal in 2006. The company has attracted a lot of attention. Phyllis herself has been applauded for bringing her insights and perspectives to the distribution business and for being a force in a male-dominated industry, setting an example for women everywhere.
Phyllis Godwin.
Granite City Electric has also been the recipient of numerous industry awards.
The winner of the overall Best of the Best Distributor Award is Granite City Electric Supply Company. Congratulations, Granite City Electric Supply, and thank you for setting an example for the entire industry.
Granite City Electric's prescient decision to partner with the Boston Red Sox at the start of the 2004 season, the same year the Red Sox ended up winning the World Series, has made the electric supply company a household name, as well as being a great source of pride for the entire Granite City Electric family.
We do it right now.
Last night I was watching the game. There were a lot of balls went out to center field. And they were catching them right in front of our logo. Oh, I love it. What could be better?
Granite City Electric is the official distributor of electrical supplies to the Patriots as well as the Boston Red Sox. Granite City Electric lights Fenway Park and Gillette Stadium. Yes, the company may be in the big leagues, but it never forgets its humble beginnings or to give back. Since the very beginning, Granite City Electric has been committed to supporting charitable organizations and has created a foundation that's sole mission is to help children lead healthy, active lives. And then there's Field of Dreams.
You know, we light Fenway Park. How about if we light the kids' baseball field? It's just been fantastic.
And it's a great thing for the town because so many cities and towns now are very financially strapped. They just don't have money in their budget for sports things.
It fits a lot about helping out kids, free, ties in our professional association with the Boston Red Sox, and then lighting. The reaction we get is unbelievable.
A dream can start with a light. The Granite City Electric dream started as a light in the eyes of one industrious man. Nicholas Papani was perpetuated by his daughter Phyllis and will be carried into the next generation by Steve Helly, the board of directors, and the rest of the Granite City Electric family. A dream can start with a light, and if the Granite City Electric team has anything to say about it, that light will never go out.
I get 2 or 3 calls a week from people wanting to buy us, but we're not for sale. And it's such a wonderful thing to say, hey, we're not for sale. We're a family business and we're going to stay that way.